guys, welcome to my Rob Hikes channel. It's been a little while, but it is now 2025 and I'm very excited to be going to my first national park of 2025, which is Zion National Park. So I'm currently on a little bit of a road trip around some of the Utah parks, where I've got some plans to visit Zion, Bryce and Arches National Park on this trip. So I managed to snag a permit for Angel's Landing this morning. So I got the lottery yesterday, which you get on recreation.gov, and you can enter 6 choices. I put every choice for today. It's just me, and I got my email last night to say I was successful, and so I'm heading into the park. It's currently 8:30 in the morning. I'm hoping I'll be able to get a parking space and summit Angel's Landing this morning and then visit some of the other spots in Zion. So come along with me and hope you enjoy. So I've made it to the trailhead at the grotto, which is kind of busy normally, so I'm quite pleased that I managed to park here, because I was thinking I may end up having to park down at Zion Lodge and take the shuttle, but it's quiet, it's very cold, and here is Angel's Landing. So it's actually this peak just here. It's a short hike, but it's an intense one, and I'm looking forward to getting back up there and seeing the views of Zion. So I need to cross the road over here for the trailhead. Just a reminder, you need your permits and you need to have them ready. So it's 5.4 miles round trip from here. So I'm going to cross this bridge, take the West Rim Trail all the way up to Walter's Wiggles, and then up to Angel's Landing. So the last time I did this trail, it was absolutely freezing cold and snowing. Oh, well, it just snowed. So I was walking in snow powder the whole way. It was really pretty. Today is very different. It's just very, very cold. Very fresh indeed. But for the first, I can't even speak because my mouth's going numb. For the first section, you just stay pretty flat along the side of the Virgin River. And then very shortly, I'll start a series of switchbacks, which will take me slightly up on my left hand side. But you can always see Angel's Landing at the start of the hike, which can be quite intimidating because it's pretty high. And you can see the trail in front leaning towards this kind of crevice here in the canyon walls. Who left this? So at this time of year, the trail's not particularly hard, but it is steep, so it does get you working up a sweat. And obviously on cold days like this, it's really tempting to like get the layers off, but obviously if you've got cold sweat underneath, you quite easily get sick. But in the summer, it's very exposed and there's very little shade, so I can imagine on days like that it could be a bit more challenging. One thing to note as well is the first section is completely paved, which is actually such a treat, because a lot of hikes in the desert are very dusty and sandy, so it's really nice to have that solid concrete underneath you. But it's really quiet on the trail today. I can hear some people up ahead, and there was an older couple behind me, but I've not actually passed anybody yet, so it'd be interesting to see how busy it is at the top. When I came last January in that snowstorm, which there is a video on this channel of, by the way, I was the only person up there. It was insane, so make sure you check that video out too. So at this point, it's nice to take a stop and see how far you've come. So here is the Grotto car park. You can see the Virgin River, and then you can see the white outline of the trail that I've taken so far to get to this point. Now, you can probably see from here it is pretty steep, and I'm definitely out of breath. The weather is amazing today though. The sun is coming up and there's all the red rock out and shining today. There's no snow, no ice so far, but I'm definitely a little bit out of shape because it's been a while since I've been out hiking, so it's going to take me a couple of trips I think to get back in the swing of things before I start doing any big mile days. But I'm just going to take a minute, enjoy the view, and then onwards and upwards. And at this point I wave bye bye, see the valley ever so briefly, and head in this way into the canyon. So, in this section, there are Mexican spotted owls in this part of the canyon. They are very sensitive, and loud noises disturb them. So I have to keep our eyes peeled in case we see any. Section. It's so still and so quiet, so that's why I'm whispering. poo poo. So this canyon section is so lovely. You feel like you're really in those Utah stereotypical images, and as I said, it's so peaceful. I've only had one person come down so far, but I can hear some people up ahead, so I guess there'll be a few more people that were up there first thing, making their way down now. Boy, those Walters Wiggles are a kick ass, but as you can see, they're quite short, so they do go by really quickly, but it is very steep and it makes you really out of breath. So definitely take your time and stop. Just at the top, I found this little rock where I've just had a break and had some water, and I can see Angel's Landing up in front of me. So very shortly, I'll be ascending the cables up to the summit. So just up here, there's a pit toilet, which I think you can see the chimney for, just in this section. So if you need to go, that's the only space. And then this is Scout Lookout. So if you take these steps up, you'll be heading up the West Rim Trail. But Angel's Landing is just 0.5 miles this way. So it's from this point here that you need to have a permit to summit Angel's Landing. Now, don't be fooled because you don't see a ranger here when you arrive, because I've done it before where on the way back down, there was a ranger checking permits after people had already been up. So obviously it's worth bearing in mind because you don't want to get in trouble with the rangers. It's not too bad actually. This is a lot easier without all the ice and the snow because you can see all the grooves and where to put your feet, so I think it's a lot better than when I've done it before. But the drop-offs are pretty steep. I mean, this is my shoe and this is the canyon. Just behind me on this side is the actual Angel's Landing. There's a couple of like towers that make it seem like that's it when it's not, but this is the legit real deal. So as you can see, there's these cables that go all the way along this very narrow part of the trail, and you can cling onto them if you want or not, but I tend to, and they go all the way right up to this point, and then it plateaus right at the summit. It's not too crowded so far today, so hopefully I'll have great success, but already the views of Zion are amazing. You can quite easily see, without there being snow, grooves that I guess have been made over time in the rock, like this one just here. So it's really easy to follow. And then here's that heavy chain as well. And this gives you an idea of just how narrow the trail is, with drop off either side. And this is the final ascend up. I'm so out of breath. We got this. At this point, I'm literally just pulling myself up the chains. Oh my god. It's so hard. Looking back, you can see just how steep it is. But up we go. Oh, there's more. Oh my god. Surely this is it. Oh my days. This trail is kicking my ass today, but I am glad I'm up here and I'm glad I'm doing it. But I know I said it before, but this really is the final push. Boy, it feels so good to be at the top of Angel's Landing. As I said, that was pretty hard. It took me, hold fire, it took me an hour and 15 minutes to get up here, which isn't too bad, but I'm definitely not in my peak shape. I've had like just a few like medical things over the winter, so I've not been hiking as much, and I feel like it today. So yeah, but it is amazing to be back out on the trails, back in the national parks, doing what I enjoy. It's not too crowded up here either. Boy, it is absolutely stunning up here, and yeah, it's not too busy. I think the permit system works really well because it does stop the crowds from coming, and it also means that people that do the hike are more prepared for the hike rather than people just doing it on a whim and maybe not having the right expectations of what the hike entails. So if you're planning on hiking Angel's Landing, the only advice that I can give is just to know your limits. If you are scared of heights, if you don't have an awful lot of upper body strength or strength in your legs, it's going to be a challenge, but it is very short. It's not like a long day hike like say Half Dome is, but the views up here are amazing. If you are looking for an alternative because you couldn't get the permit, you can go as far as Scouts Landing, which is the bit just before I had to show my permit to the ranger, or alternatively you can do Zion Canyon Overlook Trail, which is another short hike, but it's more of a like a lookout point. And you do get a similar view to this. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar, you know, if you want to have that like sweeping view of Zion Canyon. But I mean, just from this spot that I'm in right now, like, it is so majestic. It really is very similar to Yosemite Valley in many ways. Just a red rock version, I guess, but I really like it here. And for me personally, I wouldn't say like Zion is like my favorite national park, because that's not to say it's not amazing, but there are so many amazing national parks in the US. But it's one that I really like to visit just annually. I normally come in the winter, normally January, February time, but I've also come in October as well. It was super busy, but it was really, really, again, very pretty. So it's definitely a park that I recommend you visit if you haven't visited before. But yeah, I would avoid it in the peak holidays, July 4th, stuff like that, because it does get super crowded, and you often need to get in the park very early if you want to get parking space. Otherwise, they run a shuttle from the nearby town Springdale, so that's worth bearing in mind as well. But I'm really glad. I drove from Phoenix to come here today, so it's a long drive. Like in the past, I've come from Vegas, which is like 3 hours, just under 3 hours, whereas it's like nearly 6 hours from Phoenix. So it was a slog to get here, but I'm so happy that I'm here now. I'm just going to take in the views a little bit and then head back down. I won't film going back down because, for one, it's the same thing you've just seen, but also it's a little bit, for me personally, I find it a little bit more, I need to focus, so I don't really want to be like faffing with holding the GoPro and stuff like that. I have got my Meta glasses on today, so I have put a little bit of footage in there from them. It's my first time using them. They're a Christmas gift, which I'm very, very thankful for from my other half. So yeah, they're really cool. I'm glad I got to use them. I'm going to use them a bit more on this trip as well as I get used to them and stuff. But I hope you have enjoyed watching so far, and I will leave you from this amazing view here in Zion National Park at the top of Angel's Landing in the middle of January 2025. So if you like the video, please hit like, subscribe, comment below and let me know if you're coming to Zion, and stay tuned because the next video I'm heading over to Bryce Canyon in Utah, which is about an hour and 40 minutes from here. So I'll see you soon. So just here there is two California condors